On April 17th, Business Insider published an article by freelance writer Jack Crosby titled, "It's time to admit that Animal Crossing is a dumb, boring game for children." Crosby doubled down on his claims on Twitter, calling it a stupid game for babies, which, as you'd expect, did not go over super well. Now, aside from the inflammatory article title meant to generate hate clicks, and the fact that the author literally asked outlets to pay him to write this take for cheap just a day before the piece was published, the content of Crosby's critiques were not super unreasonable, especially from the perspective of someone who probably has never played another installment of the series. Now, I've been a fan of Animal Crossing for over a decade at this point. The simplistic playstyle is charming and likable, and I'm ecstatic that Animal Crossing New Horizons could expose a whole new audience to the series on the Nintendo Switch, especially in a time where we need it the most. But as a huge fan of the game, I and other superfans can admit that Animal Crossing New Horizons is not perfect. The most frequent gripes that fans have with the game often boil down to basic quality of life improvements, which I'll list off now. No bulk crafting. Multiplayer is convoluted. You can't access storage for crafting. Tools break too easily and with no warning. And you catch my drift. Most people chalk these up to classic Nintendo incompetence when it comes to multiplayer and effective UI, but otherwise the game is visually stunning and as detailed as ever. But when Crosby calls the game lifeless, I can kind of understand what he's talking about. It's clear that this iteration of Animal Crossing prioritized customization over content, at least at first. The ability to customize items, place buildings and decorations anywhere you want, and terraform your entire island are dreams come true for any fan of the series, and have led to some of the most creative ideas from players all around the world. But once you have perfected your island, you start to pick up on things that seem like obvious misses. You can't swim in the beautiful pools when swimming was in previous games, you can't ride the teacup ride, and you can't play any of the tabletop activities which could have been an excellent opportunity for multiplayer minigames. On top of that, villagers are more lively than ever with their own active animations, but they don't interact with any of the stuff you've built, making it seem more like a showcase than a lived-on island. Additionally, one of the most beloved facets of Animal Crossing is the diverse cast of NPC characters. Over the series, these NPCs can either come as surprise wanderers, or have their own physical shops like in City Folk and New Leaf. While New Horizons has a fair share of old and new characters, many were left out upon the game's debut. Favorites like Brewster, Gracie, the Gyroids, Rover, and Captain and his family were nowhere to be seen. With data mines confirming new content was on the way, like the recent edition of Red and Leaf, people rejoiced and implored critics to get off of Nintendo's back. New stuff was on the way. What more could you want? Obviously, Nintendo wants people to play this game for a long time, but the problem here is a microcosm of current trends in gaming and entertainment. Because everyone is inside right now, they are running out of things to do faster than they should be, and it's now commonplace to pay $60 for a game that has seasonal patches. These are all fair points, and Jack Crosby handled his frustration with them in a way that rightfully pissed off Animal Crossing fans. But it leads to a bigger question. When is criticism of this game considered valid? If you complain that the game is boring, you're missing the point of Animal Crossing. If you complain that the content in every other Animal Crossing game was deliberately left out, you're called impatient. And it seems like the only time criticisms of the game aren't met with resistance is either anything about Bunny Day, or when you mention user interface nitpicks that boil down to Nintendo just being Nintendo. Look, I will proudly declare that I love this stupid game for babies, but because New Horizons was released in a time where we all needed it, critiques of the game are often being misinterpreted as a critique on the players who spend all of their time playing it. While this game was obviously going to be a hit from the start, I don't think Nintendo anticipated having to meet the needs of demands for new content so soon, or to be placed under such a magnifying glass with each and every new patch update. You could also argue that tarantula spawning guides and black market trading in exchange for ramen weren't ever part of the plan. But now that we're here, spending all of our time on this game that brings us nothing but joy and the occasional inconvenience, you've got to wonder what is on the horizon for Animal Crossing, its critics, and its fans. And for fuck's sake, stop saying Tom Nook is a capitalist overlord. That is the one thing in this article that I cannot even try to justify. Let me know what landlord charges you 0 interest on your loan and lets you pay it back at literally any time. Let me know.